just a minute, so if you have not found a seat yet, please do so. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your lives to spend some time with us. Welcome to the 2025 All-Candidate Federal Election Forum. My name is Shauna Stanley, and I'm a director with the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association, who has sponsored this evening. As hosts, we wish to make it transparent and let you know that all candidates were invited by the FBNA simultaneously on April the 14th. Thank you to the Liberal and NDP and Green parties for promptly and enthusiastically confirming their participation. We are disappointed that none of the Conservative, Centrist, or People's Party responded. On April 14th, a representative from the Conservative Party confirmed receipt of the invitation. We also unfortunately received word earlier today that the Green Party candidate Andrea Wood is ill today and will not be in attendance this evening. However, she does wish the other candidates well. The FBNA has a tradition of holding municipal and federal election forums, as we believe that this is an important mechanism to assist voters in making an informed choice. The forum will be recorded and posted on the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association Facebook page. A couple of housekeeping items. There is one exit here to your right, and there are two exits at the very back of the gym. The closest washrooms are out that corner of the gym. Turn right again, and then the washrooms are on your right. It is my honor to introduce our volunteer moderator for this evening, Akeem McGinley. Akeem and his family have resided in Pickering for almost a decade. Through his work as chair of the board of the Pickering Public Library, he is committed to service values, integrity, and ethics, and believes in the continued development of an adaptive, inclusive, and vibrant library system for Pickering's future. Enjoy your evening, everyone.
All right, everyone can hear me, right? Okay. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, Shauna, for the warm introduction. I'm going to get started actually with a land acknowledgement. The City of Pickering resides on land within the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island, First Nation, and Williams Treaties territories of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations. Pickering is also home to many Indigenous persons and communities who represent other diverse, distinct, and autonomous Indigenous nations. This acknowledgement reminds us of our responsibilities for our relationships with the First Peoples of Canada and the ancestral lands on which we all learn, share, work, and live. I'd like to also turn now to sort of thanking the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association, also known as the FBNA, for organizing tonight's event. Leading up to tonight, I was inspired by the kind care of community organizers from the FBNA. Incorporated in 1949, the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association is a neighborhood organization serving the original area of the southern part of the West Shore community. The FBNA has the primary objective of creating a sense of community both within the immediate neighborhood and the broader city of Pickering. This includes a long history of sponsoring political discussion at the municipal and federal levels of government. I'm now, so as we know, we're currently in a new riding, so Pickering Brooklin. Formerly that riding was Pickering Uxbridge. And it's a very important election. I'd like to thank all of the residents and those in the audience, stakeholders, and community organizations that sent in almost 50 questions from a cross-section of Pickering and Brooklyn, including one from a very own grade 12 student at Dunbarton. The organizing committee itself has organized these questions into 4 themes. Candidates have been given those themes. They are economy and employment, affordable urban development and infrastructure, social issues and environment, and agriculture. And then there's also going to be a closing section. We will try to get through as many questions as we can tonight. Of course, as mentioned, there's only 2 candidates, so we should be able to get through the questions that our organizing committee has put together. Before we begin with tonight's discussion, I know I'm talking a lot, I would like to take a quick moment just to provide a statement on peace, order, and good governance. This is often described as the principles upon which Canada's Confederation took place, and those core tenets, also known as POG, include accountability, transparency, participation, equity, and inclusiveness. And by being here tonight, these candidates have demonstrated respect for several of those tenets. I'm now going to turn to our format. So just so everyone's aware, there is going to, the event itself is an all candidates meeting, so it's not a debate, so just keep that in mind. Instead, it is an opportunity for candidates to meet with and speak directly to community members and obviously those interests. I would remind everyone to please be respectful of each other during our time together. The candidates met earlier and drew names to determine the order of their introductions. So Juanita Nathan from the Liberal Party of Canada is going to be starting with intros, followed by Jamie Knives, who's going to be from the New Democratic Party, who's going to be following introductions. That order will be flipped for the closing statements from each candidate. Closing remarks, sorry, I already went through that. Candidates will each have 2 minutes to give their opening remarks and their closing remarks. During the question and answer period, each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. A timer is located in the front row. The timer will raise a yellow paddle. Let's just show that. That will be 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Orange flag paddle will be for 15 seconds. And lastly, a red flag will be where the time is up. I will be mostly focusing on the red flag if there is any overage there, and I will stop and move on to the next question. For a little variety during the evening, there are 2 bonus questions that have been sprinkled in, and each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond to those. So they're just kind of like quick fire. Fun ones, they involve sort of stuff that we sent previously. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with Juanita Nathan, as mentioned, who's going to get started with her introduction. Over to you.
Thank you, Dean, for moderating today. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I want to thank the Fairfield Beach Neighborhood Association, one of the oldest associations in Pickering, for organizing this debate here today. And I want to thank them for their role, and especially in the trails. Grassroots organizations such as yours are very important for, as a council, I recognize your role in the community, and thank you for all the work that you do. So my name is Juanita, and I'm honored to stand here before you today as the federal Liberal candidate for Pickering Brooklin. I want to take the moment to introduce myself and share why I'm so passionate about serving this community. I grew up right here in the Durham region, so I know firsthand the values, the challenges, and the aspirations of this area. From a young age, I've been involved in grassroots work, listening to people, understanding their concerns, and fighting for what matters in most of our communities. The commitment to serve led me to serve 3 terms as a school board trustee, where I championed education and worked tirelessly to ensure our students had the resources they so absolutely needed to succeed. Later, as a city councillor in Markham, I continued that work, focusing on improving the lives of residents through better infrastructure, services, and opportunities. Now, you may wonder why I'm running here in Pickering, Brooklyn. In party politics, sometimes the party decides where a candidate can make the biggest impact. When the election was called, there was a vacancy here, and the Liberal Party asked me to stand up.
All right, just so you know, just that time has just gone, so we're just gonna.
That's fine.
We're gonna just turn it over to Jamie for your intro. 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association for inviting us tonight and setting up this occasion. It's very kind of them and important part of democracy in our own town. My name is Jamie Nunn, and I am the NDP candidate. I'm very pleased to be here tonight. I'm running in this election for a few reasons. Number one, in the past few years, we've seen the rise of questionable politicians in our midst here and abroad. Our politics are becoming unnormed. It takes people of character and sincerity to try and right that ship. And I just felt compelled to put my hat in and try that job. As a neighbor and as a friend, I see problems with healthcare, a struggling education system, and housing. I know these are provincial mandates, but my plan is to get involved and just try to simply help if I can. Last thing is that I just simply care about this community. I've lived here most of my life, and I want what's best for all of us. I've lived in 5 cities, 3 provinces, and I always return right here. This is where I live. I've always really enjoyed myself and want to give back to my community. However, a quick shout out to Brooklyn. I did spend time up there, and that's a great town too. So let's not forget.
Alrighty, thank you to both of our candidates for that quick introduction. So we're now going to turn to a question. So we're actually going to start in the environment and agricultural section. You'll each have 2 minutes to sort of answer each question. I'm just going to alternate between the both of you throughout the night, so you'll still have obviously the ability to answer each question. A good opportunity for that. So the first question is actually sent in from the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association, and it involves Frenchman's Bay. It's currently for sale. How will you work with the municipal and provincial governments to secure the future of Frenchman's Bay and the Pickering waterfront? So we're going to actually start with Jamie for that question. You've got 2 minutes.
All right, Frenchman's Bay. It's under the strange proposition that the water itself can be sold. The price is immense, and the town has tried to buy it, as I understand it, but the offer hasn't been refused. I think in this case, because we have OPG, to be honest with you, we have OPG, which sits right on the corner. They are a stakeholder in this, and any solution that I find, that I would like to see that purchased and given to the town. Given that they've just gotten the license renewed, and we have another 50 years of the blue plant in our community, which is fine, they're a great neighbor. I would like to see them as part of the solution to Pickering achieving ownership and keep it as a park forever.
Thank you. And Juanita.
Thank you for that question. So, Markham, where I come from, doesn't have any waterfront. So the first thing I heard when I came here was about the Frenchman's Bay. Though I walked around those trails many times when I was here, the water that's facing Ajax. One of the last pieces of land that, water that's owned privately, when I had a meeting with the Mayor Ash, and he was talking about the importance and the opportunity that the city will have if this is publicly owned. And it's very important proposition that they have in their 2025 budget allocated $10 million. It's going to cost them $30 million, I think, to purchase this, to put it into public lands. And they have allocated $10 million, they said, and they have a verbal confirmation from the province to get another $10 million. And the question from me was, if I were to elect, what will I be able to secure the other $10 million from the federal government? And I have, of course, assured that I will do my utmost best to advocate to get that money. And I know the Liberal Party prioritizes environment conservation and sustainable land use. So the government would have a very good interest in preserving this piece of history for Pickering. And I would do whatever I can to either help purchase or push it into the TRCA land so it could be protected in the future.
Thank you. We're going to actually, right now, we're going to move to social issues. So that's the topic. We still will have 2 minutes to answer each of these questions. The first question in this section is actually sent in from Dars. And the question itself is, homelessness is a growing concern in Pickering, Brooklyn. With increasing numbers of residents facing housing insecurity due to rising costs, lack of affordable options, and gaps in support services. What specific actions will your party take to ensure vulnerable individuals and families receive the housing support and dignity they deserve? So we'll just flip the order. We'll start with Juanita for that.
Thank you. So, as we all heard Prime Minister Carney talk about healthcare is our right. We are expanding primary healthcare and the mental health services, and also and the pharmacare and everything else that goes with it. And there is a $500 million allocated for mental health services as well. So the government does recognize the importance of housing, healthcare, and mental health that goes along with that. And I would definitely give voice to make sure that the homelessness issue in Pickering is dealt with in a way that is more humane and more encompassing and in a holistic way. So the housing proposition the government came up with, the Liberal Party came up with the $500 billion allocated for that is going to play a major part in that, and I'm going to make sure that Pickering gets what it needs to when the money trickles down and the houses are getting built.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Homelessness is increasing in Whitby, Brooklyn area, and now we've seen it in Pickering recently, and it's coming along. And I'm quite sure that the tent cities will be coming to our town as well as they have in Ajax. And it's very an issue near and dear to my heart. We all feel when we see people living out. The NDP has made CAMH and mental health a priority in dealing and adding more people, more money into that system and to build it from where it is right now. That is a priority of the NDP. We come to the conclusion that homelessness and healthcare are intertwined. The easiest way to become homeless really is to become unhealthy, and the easiest way to become unhealthy is to be homeless. And you tend to fix one when you fix the other. Specifically in Pickering, I would like to see purpose-built homes, rental controls in our city. There just isn't enough rentals here, and build them near transit, where people have access to the jobs and the services that they need. We need this kind of Pickering is a district that has some spread to it. So you have different options for people to actually get and take those services. So I would build them in different sides of the town so that the homeless that we do have can access those services.
Thank you. We're going to go to another question actually in the social issues sort of area here. And that question's actually been sent in from our food bank, St. Paul's on the Hill. The question itself is, we are seeing record food bank usage due to high food and living costs, and food banks should not be a long-term solution. How will your party commit to stable, long-term funding for food banks and food insecurity initiatives while working towards eliminating the need for food banks altogether? So we'll start with Jamie.
Food banks, one in 10 Canadians now is a user of a food bank. This is something that's progressing, getting worse, not getting better. When I was a young person, there was no such thing as food banks. Our society did not require it. Something has gone wrong in the last 2 decades, where the rise of hunger has become a Canadian issue, and we never had that in the past. And sometimes you think to yourself, what is those keys, and how can we change that? As far as addressing the food situation, the solution I have is from a farming community, deal with farmers, see what they have. They always have spare, overabundance of food there. Sometimes extras, seconds that they throw away. Maybe we can, it's a matter of transition and getting those products just to the food banks themselves. We should create a transportation system straight from the farms where they have the food to the places where we need them. And also include our grocery stores that have an overabundance of things that they actually throw away. We could maybe get them involved and see if we could bring that all together, create a hub to the hub, and distribute that food to our food banks. As far as eliminating them in the future, I mean, that comes from building our social services, building our people stronger, working on education, just building people up from the ground, and eventually their lives will be better, and we won't have to have the notion of food banks in society.
Thank you. Juanita?
Thank you. It's a crisis in our community when we are struggling with affordability and putting food on the table. So the Liberal Party has a plan for this, and that's the first step of the plan was the middle class tax cut that is helping middle class families put around $620 back in their pocket. And also the $10 childcare does help with that. It helps with, for each child who qualifies for this program, $16,200. It's helping for each child with the family. Now, as a councillor, I do fundraise for food banks every year, and I know that last couple of years, the numbers that have gone up are really staggering. The food bank has gone up by 78%, the number of people using food banks. That's almost 100% or 0.75% increase. Sometimes we as community have to do a little bit more to support our neighbors, but it is the responsibility of the government to take care of its citizens, and the Liberal Party does have a plan for that. And in their plan, they have talked about making the National School Food Programs permanent, and some of the other middle class tax cuts, and also the $10 childcare, which is geared to helping low-income families. That would help with the putting food on the table at the end of the day.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn to our fourth question now, and this is in one of the new topics that we haven't addressed today, which is affordable urban development and infrastructure. So the first question in that section is going to be, how will your party make life affordable again? And this one, we've got 2 minutes. So we'll start in the same sort of fashion here. We need a
For us to make life affordable, the economy has to work really well, and people have to have jobs, and people have to feel safe. And Liberal Party does have a plan for that, and a strong plan to boost the economy to create jobs. The investing in infrastructure is a big plan, one of the big pillars of the 4 pillars that came out from the Liberal Party's platform this weekend. And they have plans to expand in public transit and roads, so investing a lot more in the infrastructure. So one of the budget that they have allocated, half a $500 billion, 3/4 is going to be invested back into the community to build more homes and infrastructures. And this is supposed to create a lot more thousands of well-paying jobs in the fields of construction and engineering, things like that. So opportunities like this, like for example, high-speed rail that's supposed to be going from Montreal to Toronto. And as a councillor, I was working on making sure that the train stops somewhere in Markham, but I could see it actually stopping between Markham and Pickering to have a stop here to make this place a destination for people who are traveling between these 2 cities. And this should really create jobs in the sense that people who are coming here for tourism or to stop over, to do more shopping and to be investing in the city as well. So the party's plan to spend more, to create jobs and
Thank you. I need to
safety is
stop you there.
there.
All right, we're gonna have our NDP candidate, Jim.
As far as affordability goes, the NDP they plan on taking your non-taxable income up to $19,500 or $16,500 right now. So the first $19,500 would be non-tax. We plan on eliminating the GST on essential bills, on your energy bills, on your phone and internet. Take those right out, so that's more money in your pockets. We're introducing a national rent control to keep landlords from bumping their prices up at any time, stop rent evictions, stabilize the market. We're going to double the disability for the people who are on disability. We'd like to see that double, so that they can live in dignity. And I agree 100% that is something that we all think is the right thing to do. We're going to increase the unemployment to 2/3 instead of half what you get now. It's good. We're going to increase it up to 2/3, and ban private health care from our country. So they won't be taking the money. Our health care will always be free. Well, pay for single-payer health care that we have. As far as infrastructure goes, we've introduced an idea for an energy grid, an east-west energy grid, that would come from the cheap power in Quebec, swing across Ontario or to Manitoba, and from there take the power north to where it can be used for the northern communities. And we all would benefit from the cheap hydroelectric power that comes from Quebec, and the cheaper, a little more expensive, but pretty good power from Ontario in our nuclear facilities. These are some of the things that NDP is working on to improve the affordability in Canada.
Thank you. Right on time. All right. Our second question in this same section on affordable urban development and infrastructure is as follows. Durham is one of the fastest growing regions in Ontario, and in fact in Canada. In 2024, the average house price in Pickering was just under $1 million, and in Brooklyn, just over $1 million. How will your party make home ownership more affordable? We ended on you, Jimmy. We'll start with you on this one.
Well, first first thing we talked about, the NDP is developing a fund, first-time home buyers fund, that would, a low rate of interest, give loans to first-time home buyers, help them with that price. They don't have to take the money from their grandparents or their family if it is actually available. That is our approach. I feel pretty good about that. What's the rest of the question, sir?
How will your party make home ownership more affordable?
And the other thing is to build. Our plan is to build 3 million homes for the next 5 years. And when we fill up the bottom of the market, we feel that it will stabilize the prices at the bottom. We talked a little about rent controls. And then the top half of our market, which homeowners enjoy, it won't be rising in leaps and bounds that we've seen over time. And it will stabilize as well as we've infilled on the bottom with public housing projects.
Thank you. And I'll turn now to the Liberal candidate, Juanita.
Thank you. So the Liberal Party is tackling housing affordability with a plan to build nearly 500,000 new homes each year. So focusing on affordable and social housing. We're also eliminating the GST for first-time home buyers on homes under $1 million. So this results in a saving for any families up to $50,000 in Pickering and Brooklyn. And furthermore, when this plan comes to action, so as the sitting MP, my job would be to push as much as I can for Pickering and Brooklyn to get a piece of the pie, so that our, even though this policy is going to be Canada-wide, the 500,000 homes where they go and where the government builds homes, I would be pushing for Pickering and Brooklyn to get their fair share.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to finish up this theme or this category of questions, and then we'll turn to our first bonus question. So the question, or the third question in this area is very related. What can the federal government do to increase housing supply, and what specific actions will your party take?
As I said before, the first time since World War II, I think the government's getting into housing business, and they have promised to build 500,000 homes across Canada and where needed. And these are like the wartime bungalows that you may have seen in those times. And they are meant as starter homes so people could afford them. And they're very serious about it, and they're going to build a few thousand each year to combat the housing crisis that the entire Canada is under at the moment.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, I'd like to try to be clear that municipalities and governments, they can build housing, but as far as homes goes, those are built by builders. Builders have to be incentivized to actually come in and build those houses. And the problem we've had in the last little while is that interest rates have been so high that the builders will not take that chance because the money costs them too much and the payback takes too long. So we need to incentivize the builders somehow. That is something we got to help housing. We have to stop corporate ownership of rental properties. What we have is large corporations coming in, swooping up building after building, jacking up the rents, moving everybody out, repeat, rinse, wash, repeat. And that's ridiculous. That's got to put an end to that. I'd like to investigate and limit foreign ownership, so we don't have people from other countries parking their money here, keeping their house empty, and just parking cash. And that's all it is a way to the bank without actually using the bank. There's so much of that going on. We got to get into the build rentals. I'd like to see 4 plexes built in our town. I don't see any problem with that. Where I live, most of the houses there are actually bigger than the 4 plexes that I've seen built. I don't think anybody would have a problem with them. The odd 4-plex built in our town. And I'd like to take that infill idea, to most states, I think would benefit from that.
Thank you. All right, so our first bonus question, this one's just for fun, you'll have 30 seconds for this one. For a little bit of fun, we provided candidates with a list of quotes spoken by notable leaders over the last 60 years. Is there one quote on that list that has inspired your political journey? So I'm going to start with Jamie. You guys, we did share this list, right?
Oh, sorry, I didn't. I was inspired. That was easy. I was inspired by it. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do others, not because they're easy, but because they are hard. I've read and listened to every one of JFK's speeches, and that man is a genius and a visionary. And he inspired me to get up and say, yeah, I like what he says, and I want to follow his footsteps a little bit as a guy who tried to see the future and tried to make it real.
Thanks. Anita.
I like the quote, love is better than anger, hope is better than fear, optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. It's so fitting for the time that we're in, I think, right now, where the entire Canada is united under Canada Strong. And at this time, this is needed for us. And I think that quote was by Jack Layton.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we're going to turn now to economy and employment. So there's 3 questions in this section. You'll have 2 minutes for each question. So the first one is a strong national economy depends on trade and international competitiveness. What will your government do to strengthen national and international activity? I'm going to start with our liberal candidates. Ms. Nathan.
So, the first thing you would know Prime Minister Carney did as soon as he became the Prime Minister was to go to Europe to secure partnerships and to have conversations for alternate trade routes. And I think in the current times it's very important. And the conversations that he's had, and he has said that by Canada Day, we would have the trade borders open among our provinces is very important, because now we are not looking to trade with the US, however we are trying to trade with our partners, our neighboring provinces and territories. Once the tariff comes off for the interprovincial trade, I think our industries and our suppliers would find new ways to do business within Canada, and also to strengthen their ties with the Europe trade and then Far East as far as Asia at a future date. So I feel like we are very, we should be very optimistic about our trade partners within Canada, and also not worry too much about not being able to trade with US, and take this opportunity to explore and innovate and come up with new plans for us so that we could sustain that without the support of US.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
Yep, for sure. Your time won't start. Repeat the question. A strong national economy depends on trade and international competitiveness. What will your government do to strengthen national and international activity?
Well, I'd like to say that this is an opportunity that we have. In a way, I feel Mr. Trump has done us a favor. He's made us look at ourselves and look across the world and know that maybe we were wrapped up too much with the United States in trade, and we need to find different avenues. We need to say that it was important to open up the interprovincial barriers. The tariffs were there for a reason. Let's not pretend that they weren't there for a reason, but I think working together as Canadians, Another thing that Mr. Trump has brought us together. So now we're not fighting with each other as much. We're going to look at it, the provinces are coming together, and that's a great thing. Looking for new international trade partners. Look to people who are socially, morally, and ethically have relationships. I would choose, look at the EU, for instance, New Zealand, Australia, places that reflect us as a people, as well as bringing prosperity for our nation.
Thank you. The next question in this section is, what policies will your government implement to assist small business owners still dealing with the fallout from COVID-19 and now facing the effects of tariffs? So we'll start with you, Jamie.
As I said, I think the tariffs are going to have done us a little bit of a favor and make us all come together. What can we do to support small business in these times? I would like to see a fund developed to work with small business, say under 500 employees, and buoy them up. I'm of the mind that this is a transitionary period that we're going through. I'd like to think that the Americans will stand up and they will end this in the next few years. But if they don't, we must be prepared to work together. I'd like to see small businesses supported with a fund from the NDP, support that and bring it to the people, so that in the future, when we have this new infrastructure and new supply lines developed, that we will not run into these issues again. That the tariffs will have such a huge effect in our economy, and we can weather the storm.
Thank you. Juanita?
So, as you saw in 2019-20 during the pandemic time, the government did step in to take care of the small businesses, to take care of them, in the sense, give out loans that they could take advantage of. And in the Liberal platform, they have said that, the party has said that they would make small business loans available, and they would make sure that no jobs are lost during this time due to the tariff. And any industry that is suffering because of that, may be the lumber, aluminum, they will find ways to trade within the country or across borders without the barriers, and find them alternate ways so that they could sustain their business. And I do believe that they have a plan, that we have a plan, a comprehensive plan. Sometimes, I can't recall some of them, so I apologize for that. There is a very comprehensive plan, and I did read it last night. It's not coming to me. But I know that there's money set aside to give capital loans for small businesses. I just can't remember the amount right now.
Thank you. All right. The third question in this section, we'll have 2 minutes again, is what is your plan to boost the Canadian tourism industry? Start with the Liberal candidate.
So, Pickering, especially, Brooklyn too, but more so Pickering is in a very unique position now that they have the federal lands given back to the Parks Canada, and also the light-speed rail that's going to go through the line. If we could get them to do a stop, we could create agritourism, and with the Class 1 soil that we have, we could do a lot of innovation and have tourism based on agriculture. And we have to think outside the box a lot of these times with what we have, and I think this is an opportunity for Pickering to think along those ways. And another one is the Frenchman's Bay. If we are successful in turning that into the TRC protected lands, or if the Pickering city is able to purchase and turn it into a publicly owned property, that could be huge for tourism. A lot more businesses could be created, a lot more attractions could be made there. And we have a lot of potential and land and water that we could make Pickering a tourist attraction in itself and a destination.
Thank you. Jamie?
I feel that this kerfuffle that started in America, with Mr. Trump, he's developed, it's gone and created a lot of problems with a lot of countries. And like Canadians, well, we're not all going to the States anymore. A lot of snowbirds are choosing to stay home, and for obvious reasons, because it's just become an unfriendly country to visit in so many ways. We need to look at the people who do go to the States now, what's happening in other countries. Where are they spending their tourism dollars? I would bet that they're looking for another place to go. A friendly destination like Canada would certainly be on their list. We could go to the other countries, the EU, like I said earlier, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Mexico, and say, don't go to America. You want to go somewhere that's North America with good holidays, good destinations, great health care, and it's safe, clean. Go to the other countries and promote our country as the destination now in North America.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn back to social issues. We'll have the same 2 minutes on the clock. For this question, auto theft and related violence are two of the big issues of great concern in our community. How will you help to make our community safe? So we'll start with our NDP candidate.
Unfortunately, auto theft and related violence, which includes home invasions, has become a scourge. This isn't something that normally happens in our type of community, and now it's happening all over the place. This is serious. It's one thing I do look at and say, this can't happen. This is close to America. Unfortunately, we need to up our surveillance of our streets. If they're going to be stealing cars, we need to have surveillance on our roads with more cameras. We need to strengthen the borders. That's where the cars are leaving. We all know they're leaving Montreal, and it's a mystery to me why we know where they're leaving from. They have to get there down to 401, and they put them on a boat. What the hell is going on? Why can't we stop them? Second of all, we need to strengthen our laws. Home invasion cannot happen. That's got to be, our laws must be strengthened so that the penalty is due for the crime. And I'm not sure we're there yet, but I would support strong legislation for that. I mean, I wouldn't support like the conservatives 3 strikes route, that type of non-judicial approach, but we need stronger legislation for the home invaders.
All right, and Juanita.
Yes, thank you for that question. This question was asked many times while I was knocking on the door. It's everybody's concern. Auto theft and home invasions are prevalent all over, not only in Pickering, but in Markham, but in all over Ontario. It's a very serious crime, and it should be dealt that way. But there are some laws that need to change with that. For example, the National VIN number registry has to be created, because right now each province has their own VIN numbers, and if you steal a car from one province and a police officer catches you in another province, they have no way of figuring out whose car it is because they have no access to the VIN number. They have to wait for that process. So a national VIN registry is definitely needed. That's recommended by the police officers. And the second one is the cars that are stolen and transported to other parts of the world that are going through our ports. And normally, they don't have enough officers to check the containers that are going through. That's the complaint the Border Security is giving all the time. So the Liberal government had sanctioned funding for 1,000 extra Border Security officers to check fentanyl and car crimes and anything that they need more manpower for. So they have approved this for the 1,000 extra officers, and they have actually, they're talking about tougher bail and sentencing for violent repeat offenses.
Thank you. All right, and our next question in this area is, how will your party create healthy communities and provide mental and physical services and infrastructure, and also support persons with disabilities? So we'll start with Anita.
Yes, like I said before, healthcare is a right here in Canada, and for us to create healthy communities, we need to have services that are accessible to every person that needs them. So right now, the Liberal government is giving 500 million, they have set aside 500 million emergency treatment funds and youth mental health funds for 100,000 per youth who need it at the moment. And 988 national crisis helpline supports at the moment. And working in children's mental health section, I've worked in children's mental health section for over 20 years. I know that we need a lot more funds allocated to the services for that, and it's not nearly enough, whatever the government is supporting us with. And for whether it be shelters or live-in treatment centers, and maybe to get more employment, youth employment and things like that. And with the Canada Summer Jobs and Apprenticeship Grants, they have increased that. And they have given interest relief for student loans. Things like this also support the youth in the community, but also services for the seniors and for working parents and low-income families. So there's all sections of the communities being included in the different pockets of funds that have been allocated in the budget that will be coming out. And it's clearly set out in the platform that's set out by Prime Minister Trump.
Thank you. Mr. Knight?
One thing I would do for healthy communities, I'd like to bring back the participation that we all sort of endured as children. You have to, I just gave that a lot of merit as a good program to get kids moving. First thing you need to do is get kids moving. Second, for healthy communities is the air, the water. These are, I would put special attention to the pollution. I don't think there's been enough given in this election, frankly, to the environmental issues that we face. Environmental issues are important to our health. When you're healthy, you're happy. So I would work on freeing up Lake Ontario as we could, and the Great Lakes, and freshening the air that we have here through scrubbers and control of the polluters who live west of us. Support the disabilities. I would, what we have now in place is these programs that they help you upgrade your homes for people with ramps and that sort of things. In the disability community, I would increase those programs and bring them to the table. What we don't see is enough dialogue with our disabled and our under-serviced folk. Bring them to the table and ask them, how can we serve you? I think the first thing we need to do is listen. Listen to the people that we need to help and hear what they have to say.
Thank you. All right, we're now going to turn to our second bonus question. You'll have 30 seconds each to answer this one. Is there anything in a competing candidate's campaign platform that you might consider to have merit? So we'll start, that candidate doesn't have to be here, but we'll start with Boone.
I've got to give Mark credit on that one. There's, he does have some pillars that I do agree with. I'm not going to deny that. He's, I guess, his idea about bringing the unemployment. He's talked about increasing the numbers of weeks on unemployment and bringing that as a solution. And I agree with that.
All right, thank you. And Juanita?
I would say the tougher sentencing for the crimes from the Conservative Party, but I also want to point out that part of that is the provincial responsibility as well. So if we could work together as all three tiers of the government, for example, the police services is funded by municipally or regional municipally. The jail system and the judges are the provincial jurisdiction, and then the policies that are set are the federal. So if we could somehow work together to make that system flow, so we could have a handle on the crimes, it would be good.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn back now to our environment and agriculture section. So there's two more questions there. You'll have 2 minutes each to answer those. The first of those questions has actually was sent in by Land Over Landings. And that question is, what is your party's policy with respect to the Pickering Federal lands? So we'll start with our Liberal candidate, Linda.
So right now, thanks to the current MP here, Jennifer O'Connell, and some of the other MPs that are around here, they work very hard to make sure the airport is not needed anymore. So the airport lands have been converted back to the federal park lands. And they have made the announcement at the moment, but the paperwork and the formalities still has to go through. So I'm committing today here to do the utmost to make sure those lands don't get unnecessary development, and it holds its value and it is protected. And I'm sure the party has a very comprehensive, preserving nature. Liberal Party is big on preserving nature, so I am very confident that I could achieve that with the support of other MPs to make sure those lands are permanently in the parks.
Thanks. Jamie?
As Juanita said, there has been some movement to bring those lands into Pickering. We've had an announcement. So far, we've had an announcement from Jennifer O'Connell, which is great. But we need the legislation, very strong legislation, that locks that into place. I would like to see a good portion of that land actually created as parkland. We take it from the Rouge and create one big park that comes up the Rouge Valley, and a very large portion of the airport lands would then become park green space. I'd like to see actually part of the green space be taken over by the city of Pickering. Living here, I've noticed that they are very responsible here when it comes to expansion and having land and building. We take our time, we're responsible, so I'd like to see the land split between park space, green belt, and city of Pickering.
All right, and our last question in this section is...
Oh, one last thing. I'd like to say thank you to Lands Over Landing for that question.
Cheers. So our last question is, agribusiness accounts for one of Durham Region's key economic sectors. What specific plan does your party have to help promote and enhance the agribusiness sector here in Pickering, Brooklyn? So we'll start with our NDP candidate, Jamie.
Well, again, it's the strong legislation to keep the green belt in place. I mean, what happened last year, of course, we all know. government. That is the main thing. Put in the, lock it in, so that we can't be, I mean, I don't think, if it means expanding the federal lands, that's unclear. But it is clear we need our farming lands. It's just, that's what makes our community what it is. So I would just support legislation to bring those lands into a stronger grip, so it can't be released, taken like someone like Doug for.
Thank you. And over to the Liberal candidate, Ms. Nathan.
Can you repeat the question?
For sure. So agribusiness accounts for one of Durham Region's key economic sectors. What specific plan does your party have to help promote and enhance the agribusiness sector here in Pickering Brooklin?
Yes, thank you for that question. So Liberal Party is investing in sustainable farming through programs like the Agricultural Green Technology Program. So this is helping Pickering Brooklin farmers to go green. So for natural spaces, we're transferring the Pickering Airport lands to Parks Canada, and so there is a lot of potential for that land to be used in an innovative way for agro-tourism and specialty crops and things like that. And the federal support to protect Frenchman's Bay as well, so the farmlands, we're working to prevent it from urban sprawl, to ensure that our agricultural heritage thrives, so making sure that no more farmland is turned into development land unnecessarily.
Thank you. All right, we're going to get into our closing questions, and then after that, you'll have some time for your closing statement as well. So there's two closing questions. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each. The first question is, what is the single most important federal issue facing Pickering Brooklin that you personally will champion if elected? So we're going to start in the same sort of order, so we'll start with Juanita.
So for me, in speaking with people, it would be protecting the lands of Pickering, so either be Frenchman's Bay or the federal lands, making sure that it is turned to parks and it's turned to public. So Frenchman Bay, somehow it is pushed into the TRCA land and protected, or it becomes a public land, public water space, and also the federal lands stay as parks.
Maybe over to you, Jamie.
Well, I have to agree with Juanita on this one. I think that is, I gave this some thought earlier, and I think that is our greatest issue here. And Pickering is our Frenchman's Bay, the jewel of Pickering. Make sure that it stays that way. The green lands to the north, the green belt. You know, I'm of the mind that champion something for Pickering would be the Rouge Park. I've often looked at it, and since it's gone federal, the campground down there has just been ignored. And that whole section has been ignored since it went federal. Now, either I would champion having that campground brought back, or the park at least be looked after, because it isn't right now. Or I would simply ask it to be given to Pickering and let them do the job.
Thank you. And our next question is, what is your plan to engage residents in issues as they arise, keeping them informed and making yourself available so that you can be an effective voice for us in Ottawa? Let's start with Jamie on that one.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Yeah. What is your plan to engage residents in issues as they arise? So keeping them informed and making yourself available so that you can be an effective voice for us in Ottawa.
I think the best way to communicate with people is to come down and have town halls. I did not see a lot of town halls out of our Liberal leadership on the last time. Also, I'd make myself available on my personal cell. If you want to give me a call, I'd be there. But I do believe town hall's getting into the community and facing the questions of the people face to face is the right thing to do. Also, I would take as many meetings. I mean, I went to see Peter Beth and Falk. He sees 5 people every other Friday or something like that. I would spend as much time as I could in the community, in the office, meeting with as many constituents as I could.
Cheers. And Juanita.
Thank you for that question. So, I love talking to people. I love listening to them. That's my job. I've done it for so many years that way, and I don't ever shy away from meeting people and talking to them. So I want to have an open policy at my office whenever I'm available. You could always come and see me. But Jamie's right about town halls and forums, and also going back to the community to see what they like to do or what their input is in an issue, and dealing with the issue the way the community wants. And also disseminating information from the party or from the government as well, so that people stay informed. So newsletters or messages out to the community all the time, and congregations of groups of people to find out what their interests and what they would like. So I would have an open door policy to meet and talk to people whenever I'm available, keeping in mind that this job is in a different city. So our time here is very limited. Usually it's over the weekends and when the parliament's in recess.
Thank you. All right, we're now going to turn to our closing statements. So we're going to go in the reverse order from our opening statement. So I think you won the coin toss, Jamie. So you're up for the first closing statement. Yeah, you're up first for the
Oh, I see.
your closing statement. You got 2 minutes, but don't worry, we're not in a big rush or anything. So whenever you want to start.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that note is missing. Well, close it. In closing, first of all, let's say thank you. We're needed, it's been a pleasure. And thank you all for coming. This was really a great experience. And I'm so happy to be trying to represent my community. What we have in our country is a 3-party system or more. We do not have the 2-party system. And I believe ours is the stronger, better system. I think a lot of work gets done when you have a minority government working with the other 2 parties. And we've seen that through the NDP, bringing in the dental care, the pharmacare, and the contraceptive. Those things, that was our government working. That made me believe in the NDP, believe in the 3-party system. As strong NDP, we will continue that work, hold our leaders to account. So I'm asking for your vote. Vote for me, Jamie and I, is a vote for Pickering and Rob.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Akeem, for doing a wonderful job, and thank you all for staying till the end and listening to us. So, I want to tell you, and I know you already know this, the importance of voting in this election. This is the most consequential election in our lifetime, or in my lifetime, I am experiencing. This is an election that requires all of us to participate. So, whoever you vote for, please go out and vote. And I strongly urge all of you to vote for Liberal Party, Mark Carney, who has a proven track record, who has dealt with crises such as this in the past, whether it be here in Canada or in Europe. Now, having said that, I wanted to let you know that I've worked across the Durham region, and this is part of my opening remarks I didn't get to say, so I just wanted to finish off with that. And I understand the unique needs and potential of this community. And I'm really excited to be here, and I'm ready to be a strong voice for you in Ottawa. I may not have all the answers right now, but I promise you this, I will always listen, I will always hear your concerns, and I will fight for what matters to you. So together we can build a brighter future for both here Pickering and Brooklyn. And I wanted to thank you all for your time, and thank those who have already casted the vote, and those who are just on the fence and not sure and undecided. Please have conversations. Please take a look at all the platforms, and please listen to the leaders speak, and please make your decision, and please go out and vote on April 28th and vote Liberal. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our all candidates meeting today. Before we get going, I just want to say that our candidates will be available. There is a Liberal booth at the back, Jamie, and you will also stick around if there's any questions that folks in the crowd have. So we wanted to sort of provide time for some engagement there. Obviously, we were able to sort of get through the questions quickly because there's not as many candidates here. I do want to thank both candidates for taking the time and diligence to answer our questions tonight. I'd also like to thank our audience. The weather today has been beautiful, so to take time out of your evening to come here to spend with us has been really appreciated. I want to also thank community organizations, the Fairport Beach Neighborhood Association for organizing tonight's event, and any related organizing committees and volunteers that made tonight possible. Thank you for an engaging evening. Lastly, please travel safely, and if you haven't done so already, ensure that you vote on Monday. Thank you. And thank you, Phil, for that. If anyone can stick around just to help stack up chairs, that would be well appreciated as well. You can ask questions to them at their booth after the event.
Sorry.